Hey everybody, Brian here from THE, The Horror Experience, and I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about some of the past videos. One of them was dealing with that werewolf out in Argentina that was taken several years ago. Somebody took an implant of a Harry Potter, some concept art from the Harry Potter movies. I don't even remember if that particular werewolf was even used in the movies. Maybe you guys could tell me about that. I have every movie here. I have all the Harry Potter movies, but I haven't watched them in so many years. I can't remember if that thing was used. Something tells me I think they drew it and then they threw it. But anyway, somebody grabbed that concept art, implanted it in a picture in Argentina on the streets, and it's the exact same picture. It's just that they doctored it up to make it look more realistic, and boy, I'll have to say it looks good, but no go. It's the exact same concept art, but very creepy anyway, to say the least, and very good attempt at tricking people. Actually, it did trick people for a long time, and I think it's still tricking people today. And as to why I ran it, I'm still seeing videos of people running that picture recently that are talking about how amazing it is and what is it and da 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 da. Well, it's concept art from Harry Potter. Sorry. Also, I did some local stuff from a paranormal investigator about 4 years ago that went out to Lost Lake. And he was doing he's actually probably one of my favorite paranormal investigators here in town. We used to have a group, the Fresno Ghost Hunters or something like that. I don't think they're around anymore. I'm not sure what happened to it, but I actually had a conversation with the person who ran it several years ago, many years ago, and she didn't agree with the things I was saying in regards to hauntings and so on, and I just kind of dove out of it. They're one of those that everything is a ghost. Everything. You hear that's a ghost, You hear, the pipes rattling, that's a ghost. Somebody talking in the background, that's a ghost. I've had some interesting things that I've caught on audio while doing videos just right here where I'm sitting, and I still can't explain it. I had one with a sneeze in it, or a cough that I still can't explain. And I had the TV off. I had just the cats in here, and they don't cough like people. This was it sounded like a person coughing, and it wasn't me. I was sitting here talking, and there it was. The windows were closed, which, I could still say that it might have been somebody outside, and maybe the audio picked up somebody outside coughing. It's very possible. Maybe I just didn't hear it. However, it was quite interesting. Anyway, this guy goes out to Lost Lake, which is a place with a paranormal reputation because of a lot of people that have taken their lives there. Hangings. It has a very rich Native American history. Very rich. Not that has anything to do with it, but it's just that there's a lot of deaths out there. There have been a lot of deaths out there, and whether it's accidental, it's actually not a lake at all. It's a park that was built along the San Joaquin River, where in the 30s they dug out this huge gravel pit while they were building the Friant Dam, which is a few miles further north of the location. And because it's this widened out area in the river, it looks a lot like a lake. So hence Lost Lake, and it's set kind of back. So a lot of people, I guess people did know about it or something, so they called it Lost Lake. But anyway, it's very, has a huge reputation for paranormal activity, and so a lot of people go out there for that reason. I was out there during my zoology days doing an owl count out there for the National Audubon Society and for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and for the California Department of Fish and Game. They all take all the statistics that are gathered and they use it for their animal bird counts and to find out what population densities we have where and so on. So I did an owl count out there several times, and I'll tell you what, the place is creepy, there's no doubt about it, but as far as any paranormal activity, no. And being, in zoology, in the field of zoology at one time anyway, you can pretty much explain away a lot of the sounds out there. You'll hear raccoons and, there's a lot of animals, moving around out there. Muskrats, you name it. What sounds like somebody walking through the weeds can just be an animal in there, Deer, they even have deer out there. But they have several species of owls, and so that's a hot spot for that. But anyway, while he was out there, he was filming, standing there testing his audio and video on his camera, and he was standing there. He had a rock behind him. It's pitch dark out there, except for him, with his light on his camera, and he had this area lit up behind him. And these lights on these cameras, even the one on my phone, are quite powerful. And it was lighting up this whole rock that he was standing in front of, and this white figure passes by right after he walks away from out of the view of the camera. This figure runs by. Well, it's not very big. I mean, it's tiny, but it's just this thing that looks like it's running over the rock. Well, I zoomed it up, and it turned out to be a barn owl. It was an owl flying by, and I'm sorry, my friend. I know that, I think most people know it by now anyway, but anyway, it is an owl. We have barn owls out there, and they are pure white, and that camera light will illuminate them, so they're very bright colored. So anyway, that's what that was. And then I did that tornado video, which was quite creepy. I love that tornado video. I don't know where that was taken. I don't know who took it, what state it was in. I'm sure it was the Midwest somewhere, but quite amazing, quite creepy. And then the next thing I want to work on a little bit is cults. And I'm going to pick a few that I think are especially interesting. Starting off with Heaven's Gate. I think that's one of the most unique cults out there. The website is actually still up. I checked it out last night. It is still there, and there are still people operating it. So obviously they're not gone. And they're very nice people. But, however, I'm not sure that they still totally believe in what Marshall Applewhite and or Bonnie Nettles believed. As far as taking your own life and to leave your shell, to leave your vehicle or shell and moving on to a UFO tailing a comet, I'm not sure if that idea is still there or not. But they were considered a UFO cult. So they technically they believed that they were extraterrestrials that were here in this human kingdom with human bodies, but they needed to get out of here and go to this spaceship or UFO or spaceship that was tailing Hale-Bopp back in 1997 in order to move on to the next level. It's not far away from kind of where I get my ideas, and I'm not involved in any cults or anything, just so you know, but after watching a lot of shows or documentaries dealing with extraterrestrials, but not really extraterrestrials, I think they're just a higher version of us. I just think that it's a higher version of us, either from another time or whatever. But there has been drawings and carvings of UFOs on rocks and so on that go back thousands of years, and they're all over the place on the globe from different cultures. And there's no way during those times that these people can be communicating with each other to have identical carvings or drawings of UFOs like saucers and strange looking men and that kind of thing. Something was going on, no doubt about it. And so I think they kind of had the right idea, but at the same time, Heaven's Gate, that is, I'm not gonna take my chances, with just being. There's a lot more to the story, which we're gonna dive into later in this small little coverage that I'm going to do, or I could call it a series, but I'm not, because that makes it sound like I'm some amazing storyteller, and I'm not. But anyway, I want to cover cults, and Heaven's Gate I really am going to dive into this and find out what my main concern here is, the psychology behind it, and how this man and this woman, Bonnie Nettles and Marshall Applewhite, were able to grab these people. These are successful, technically, they knew technology, and of course at that time, the internet was really just getting going. So there was a lot of, he had to have a lot of people in his cult that could do a lot of different things, and these were technical, successful people. But there's a catch, and how did he strip their minds of reality to get them to believe in this belief system that he had created, that he and Bonnie had created? I think Bonnie had kind of more or less had motivated him to go in the direction that he did initially, and then after she passed away in 1985, he went on a whole other direction. Well, not a whole other direction necessarily, but he took it a step further, and a lot of it was influenced with the fact that she was no longer there. And I think it was just the fact that he was grieving her so terribly that this suicide thing came into play. And he dragged these people into it. And how do you take people that are successful? We're talking about people that use common sense, scientifically intelligent people that were scientifically educated, successful people, and get them to do this amazing thing. Granted, there wasn't that many, and a lot of them left, but that's still a lot. It's still, as far as mass suicide is concerned, I think it still holds the record for the largest on American soil. Jim Jones was not on American soil, otherwise that would have been the biggest, but that was in South America, so you can't say that was the largest here. But here on American soil, that was the largest mass suicide, as far as a cult is concerned, that we know of. As far as anything is concerned, it's the largest mass suicide. Anyway, we're going to be digging into cults next here on THE, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys, until next time, we will see you soon with cults.